Hi, I'm Rodney Poole, Education Specialist with Talk It Out NC, a state-sponsored initiative to reduce underage drinking. I'm joined by Dr. Ben Matthews, former Chief School Operations Officer at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. We're talking about how schools and education officials in North Carolina can help families deal with underage drinking. So, Dr. Matthews, how can teachers and administrators address underage drinking?
Teachers and administrators need to think about the individual community they're in. All the communities are different, and so they need to focus on what their social setting is. Then they need to sit down and have a discussion about how they want to approach underage drinking, and they can use Talk It Out for some absolutely wonderful discussion points.
Yeah, that website, talkitoutnc.org, there is a ton of information on there that teachers and administrators can go to for information. What would you say to a teacher that is concerned about a young person that may appear to have a problem with alcohol or other drugs?
Well, we like to think, having been an elementary and middle school principal and dealt with teachers and actually taught teachers at the university, we like to think that they have a good relationship with their children and understand the behavioral issues that are going on. Then it's up to them to communicate to the parents, counselor, and the principal to try to get at what the problem might be.
Yeah, teachers have a ton of influence a lot of times on students. Speaking of teachers, how should a teacher balance that relationship, that student-teacher relationship, when it comes to being a role model and maybe even a teacher that is looked up to, and maybe a student may share personal information with that teacher? On the other side of that coin, being one of the people in the building who is responsible for student safety?
That's a tricky question, Rodney. We want children to be comfortable with their teachers, but on the other hand, the most important goal is the safety of the child. And so the teacher's professional responsibility is to be sure that they're working with the child and understand what the problems are, and then communicate those to the proper authorities to be sure the child is safe. The relationship might be damaged a bit, but on the other end of it, the child's life may be saved.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of alcohol specifically, how might alcohol affect a student's success?
Tragically, Rodney, it can have a tremendous impact on student success. It's been shown very clearly research that child's schoolwork, social life can be really impaired by alcohol. Alcohol has an impact on impulse control, and quite frequently young children whose brains are not developed yet make the wrong choices when they're under influence. It can also disrupt sleep, and inhibits motor function, the movement of a child. If a child wants to be an athlete, the last thing they want to do is be drinking. And one of the other areas that has a tremendous effect is in driving, which is one of the reasons in our driver education program in North Carolina, we are very sure to spend a good bit of time talking about the impact of drugs and alcohol on driving performance.
Wonderful, wonderful. So overall, when it comes to administrations and school districts as a whole, how should they address underage drinking? What should schools actually be doing?
Well, in my opinion, schools need to take a broad brush stroke over underage drinking. You need to think about all of the different personalities who have impact on a child's life. I could sit and tell you stories the rest of the day about how cafeteria workers had an impact on the child, a school bus driver, a school counselor, the teacher, of course, the principal, social worker, school psychologist. All of these people have impact on student lives. And so if we can create awareness of underage drinking in all of these populations, and the parent group is a whole another area. PTAs, parent groups, church community, all these people who touch the student's life needs to understand the impact of alcohol on an underage child and the dangerous nature of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell you that all hands need to be on deck. I guess this is what I'm hearing.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Dr. Matthews, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, my pleasure to be with you, Rodney.
For ideas on how to start the conversation about underage drinking, visit talkitoutnc.org. Thank you.